Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Identity Insights by Indicio. This week, Indicio announced the latest addition to our proven suite of solutions, Proven Works, and today I'm here to catch up with Indicio's lead software engineer on the project, Mike Ebert, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the specifics of what it can do and who it's for. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today, Mike. Could you please start us off with a quick explanation of what Proven Works is?
All right, so Proven Works allows employers of various types, government, private, etc., to issue employment credentials or proof of employment credentials to their employees. So you can encode some information about the employee, some information about the employer, and some information about the specific employment. And then that becomes, reusable and portable by the employee, and then the employer and their partners can make sure that someone is indeed actually working for the company. So it's really powerful tool for making sure you don't have to refill out the forms for employment over and over again, or risk errors in data transcription or anything like that.
So why is Indicio excited to unveil this new project to the community?
So when we first released Proven, the default use case that it included was an email verification credential. And while that's a real world thing, it does seem a little bit trivial to some people. And it made it so that some of our potential customers or the community weren't as sure exactly what Proven was capable of. And so with the Proven Works use case, now we have something that's feels a little more substantial, a little more real, and helps people understand how Proven works and what it can do a little bit better. So we're really excited to have an additional use case and to be able to show people another demo to help them understand Proven and the related systems.
How does Proven Works tie into the bigger, trusted digital ecosystem or verifiable credential strategy that some organizations could be looking at?
So one of the tricky things about trusted digital ecosystems is something that we call the chicken or the egg problem, which comes first. So, some organizations or ecosystems, do they create an issuer first, and then, would people have demand to verify those credentials later? Or do you create a verifier and hope that someone will issue the credentials? How do you get started with these credentials? And so Proven Works allows you to get all of the parts of an employment ecosystem off the ground at the same time, sometimes within just a single company and its departments. And then once you have a valuable credential that's being issued, held, and verified at some kind of scale, then you can branch out to including other partners or other departments or other use cases as people start to see the value and get used to the credential there, in the systems, and the employees get used to using it. And then from there you grow. The other good thing about it is that if you have a lot of companies that were to use the same employment credentials internally, eventually those internal ecosystems can start to overlap and link, and you get broad use of verifiable credentials in employment situations where companies often drive technical adoption when there's real dollars and value attached. And then as people get used to the technology, then they can use it for all sorts of things, including free, social, open source, or not-for-profit, kind of all sorts of additional applications. So it's a good way to get started with some real valuable verifiable credentials.
So you touched on a little bit there, but what were some of the main, issues and business problems that Indicio set out to solve with Proven Works?
So one of the important issues that's faced by companies all over the world is, how trustworthy is their data? Is it fraudulent? Is it accurate? And did it come from where people said it came from? One of our use cases that we implemented, 60% of the COVID credentials or the COVID test results and vaccine papers and things like that were forged until you came up with a way to force, or to have verification that was trustworthy and accurate. And so that's one of the big things here, is that if you can trust your employment data, then things like fraud and phishing are a lot easier to avoid. So for example, if you have a sensitive action to take, you could say, you know what, before we take this sensitive action, before I let you into the secure lab or into the vault of the bank or whatever, I'm going to prove that you indeed work for the company, especially if I don't personally know you. So, please present your credential to me so that I know for sure before I do this that it's okay. Besides, those verifications before sensitive actions, Proven Works in its current state can do some basic authorization workflows. So such as opening a building door. So you could have a great big building and say, you know what, we only want employees to come in on a routine basis. So we're going to hook up our door key system to use these verifiable credentials and let people in. And then another thing that's really useful is you can avoid the hassle or the error-prone nature of entering your employment data over and over again. So like say you're working with a company's insurance provider or a third-party payroll provider, eventually you'll get to working with payroll companies or applying with a financial institution. You have proof of employment when you go to get a loan, something like that. So starting out small with those cases that make sense right now, and then as Proven Works credentials get broader adoption, then you can start doing cooler things with them.
That's totally fair. How does using Proven Works make your life easier or better than the systems that are already in place for proving employment?
So I think that some of the existing systems are dependent on paper-based documents and credentials. They're often dependent on human interactions and decisions, and sometimes they're you can verify things in a more accurate manner, but it's with a purpose-built tool that's limited to just a single application. So, those paper documents can be forged. Human interactions, can be gamed. It's shown a lot of times. There are a lot of movies where as long as you act like you belong, people won't question you, and that actually happens in real life. And the purpose-built tools can be constrained, and if they're not interoperable or extensible, then that gets to be expensive to build a lot of purpose-built tools. So Proven Works, with the verifiability of the credentials and the keys and the encryption, that makes it so that forgery is nearly impossible. And then the automation of the software means that you can augment the humans to help them make better decisions, or in some cases you won't need a human anymore. You can automate the decision and use code for that. And then finally, because the Proven Works is based on open source code and open standards, it'll be extensible and interoperable with other software and use cases. And so you get additional benefit besides just employment verification within your own company if you can interact with the other companies and organizations and ecosystems. So it'll grow. So those are some of the key ways that we hope that Proven Works is going to help people overcome problems that they had with their legacy systems.
Sounds good. So if you could just walk me through a couple real world use cases. If I, as an employee wanted to prove my status, how would that look? Or on the other side, how would an organization see me, attempting to use that credential?
Okay, so the first part is, you need to get your credential as an employee. So let's say you go to work at a brand new job and they say, all right, we're going to issue you a credential that allows you to prove that you work for us. So please use your phone to download this particular application or one that's compatible with it. So Proven Works uses Aries-based wallets. And so you could, as long as it's Aries compatible, you could use any one you wanted. A company may mandate a particular one, but technologically speaking, anyone would do. And then they'd say, all right, please, come to the front desk or the HR office or something like that. And let's connect you to the enterprise agent there. And we'll type in your employment details and we'll issue you a credential from the issuer to your mobile application. On the mobile application, you're given a chance to review the credential, say, all right, they did type in all my information accurately, or they made a mistake, please redo it. And then once you're happy with it, you accept it. And now you have proof of your employment stored in your mobile application. And then from there, the smallest case for Proven Works is within a single organization. So let's say you've signed up with HR and now you go to the IT department and you're like, I'd like to get my laptop and get access to the code repositories or the server room or something like that. And they'd say, okay, please present your credential to prove that you did go through the process with HR and you're an official employee. And now that you've shown that, now we can take one of these expensive laptops and hand it to you. Now we can give you, a key code or whatever, or direct access using the application to get into the server room or so on, something like that. And so that's kind of the workflow is, you do the issuance, you hold it on your phone, and then you present it for verification at the points that are requested by your company. And outside of the company, let's say that your bank is now accepting employment credentials that follow this schema. You could go to the bank and they'd say, all right, we need to verify your employment so that we can grant you a loan. And we have a couple methods to do this. You could fill out this paper form. You could do an interview with this company that does verifications or whatever, or we accept the credentials issued by your employer. Would you present those to us? And so you connect to their verifier agent. They ask for the details that they need. And if you're comfortable with the details they're asking for, sometimes phishing attempts or bad actors or sometimes companies that ask for things that feel invasive to people. And so, or that they're not supposed to have. And so if you're comfortable, then you share it with the company. And if not, then you would say, let's use one of the other means, or I'm going to switch lenders to one that's not asking for scary data. So that's kind of the workflow to, the early use cases for Proven Works. Pretty simple: issuer, holder, and verifier.
All right. No, that definitely sounds pretty useful, especially, being able to use it across a bunch of different organizations, once banks and things start accepting it.
Yeah.
So you did mention this is kind of this technology as it is today. Are there any, additional functionality or anything on the roadmap that you might be able to give us a sneak peek of?
Yeah. So once you have, verification of your employment, then there are some additional use cases that could build on top of that are exciting. So right now we're working on secure messaging. So you could use DIDCOM to communicate between the agents. So between the employer and their employee, between the verifier and the person being verified, or the mobile applications, you could actually enable employee to employee communication. Because you're using the employment verification and that secure DIDCOM channel, which is one-to-one and encrypted messaging, then that messaging becomes secure and a lot more tamper-proof. The chances of impersonation or phishing go way down. And so working on that messaging is a really nice feature there. And it means that you can be very certain of who you're communicating with. And it works, it'll be there in the application rather than in a different context. If, for example, you don't have to switch to other messaging channels or email or whatever, it provides a secure channel there. So that's one thing that's really exciting that's coming up. And then the other one is, and this is the #1 requested feature once people find out that you have an employment credential, is can we use it to log in to whatever digital system? And right now, the employment credential is really good for authentication, proving who someone is, but it needs extensions to say, let's give you specific permissions, let's authorize you. And so we'll be linking Proven Works to the work we're doing on passwordless login. So that'll be released later this year, but it'll enable your employment credential to give you the power to log in and then be authorized to use all sorts of systems. And that's one of the most valuable use cases coming for Proven Works.
No, absolutely. That sounds awesome. Well, it looks like that is about our time for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like the content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll continue to bring you some more news and interesting information around decentralized identity. Thank you again to you, Mike. If people want to learn a little bit more about what we've been talking about today, where would you suggest they look?
So we'll be doing a live demo at a webinar on December 14th. So we'll include a link for the live demo. We've announced the product, so go read the press release. And then we have a product page on the website. So Tim will help us with those 3 links, but those are 3 great sources to go see how Proven works, and then some additional information on what it means and why it's cool.